Well, hi. Welcome to our Holy Week reflections. We're going to start out by looking at the goodness of God and who He is and how He takes care of us. So we're going to go to Psalm 36 today to get started, and we'll be in 5 to verse 10. So if you'll join with me as we read, Your mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the clouds, and your righteousness is like the great mountains. Your judgments are a great deep. O Lord, you preserve man and beast. How precious is your loving kindness, O God! Therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of your wings. They are abundantly satisfied with the fullness of your house, and you give them drink from the river of your pleasures. For with you is the fountain of life, and in your light we see light. O continue your loving kindness to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright in heart. What a precious reminder of how God takes care of us, how He supplies for us. And we see that the Old Testament God comes in the presence into this life in the person of Jesus Christ. And as Jesus Christ came and walked this earth, we see that He had a great ministry, a very fulfilling and rewarding ministry, but a ministry that attracted people to Himself, a ministry that reflected His loving kindness, His graciousness, His mercy, His life-giving ability. And His life-giving ability gave life to a guy by the name of Lazarus, and we find that in John chapter 11. And picking up after that event, we see that in John chapter 12, verses 1 to 11, we see this unfolding of this story, the aftermath of that, before we really get started with the Holy Week and before the triumphal entry. John chapter 12 tells us this in the first 11 verses. It says, Then 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, who had been dead, and whom He had raised from the dead. There they made Him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of those who sat at the table with Him. Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, wiped His feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of oil. But one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who would betray Him, said, Why was this fragrant oil not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? This He said, not that He cared for the poor, but because He was a thief and had the money box, and He used to take what was put in it. But Jesus said, Let her alone. She has kept this for the day of my burial. For the poor you have with you always, but me you do not have always. And I'll leave you to read the last few verses of that section. But it's a clear reminder to us of Jesus being involved with people, His love of people, and in return, the people's love for Him. Specifically, we see Lazarus, and we see, more importantly, in this particular text, we see this character of Mary. And Mary came, and she was the one that had worshipped, that had sat at Jesus' feet to learn from Him, to see who He was, to hear what His words had to say, and how that would then translate into making her life better, making her a better person. And here we find that out of her great love for Jesus, she came, and it says she brought this pound of costly oil of spikenard. And apparently this was worth 300 denarii, which was almost a year's wages for that time. So where she got it from, or how she had saved the money to buy this, we have no idea. It doesn't really say. But we know that it was costly, and she came. And what she did was she came and she worshiped Jesus. And her act of worship says that she poured out this spikenard, and she anointed His feet, and she wiped her feet with her hair. And in this moment of ministering to Jesus, we find that the fragrance of this just filled the entire house. There was no escaping from it. It was a beautiful aroma, and people went, wow, what is this? And then they realized what was actually taking place. And yet Jesus made the case when it was suggested that, oh, she should have sold this. She should have given the money to the poor. Jesus said, no, this was kept in remembrance of me. This was kept as a reminder of my death and my burial that will come. She saved this for this purpose as an act of worship. And so the reminder for us today is, there's a lot of good causes we can give to. But the reality is we need to give our lives. We need to give the best that we have of our possessions. We need to give as unto the Lord, and we need to be reminded that Jesus is worthy of our praise. Jesus is worthy of our worship. Jesus is worthy of our sacrifice. And as we go through this week, we'll see closer and closer, and as we arrive on Good Friday, we'll see that Jesus himself paid the ultimate sacrifice to pay the price for us. So I hope this has been just a little bit of an encouragement to you today, and we'll see you again tomorrow.